Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Behind the Glass Doors. I'm joined, as always, by Creative Director Chris Mazzina and PWD MD and Founder, Mr. Oliver Wood.
Hey,
I'm trying to face this way so I speaking to
we're
the
gonna
mic.
we're gonna get it right one of these times. This is the second time now we've got proper mics, so hopefully,
Yeah, take two.
Take two.
Today, gents, we're going to talk about our, not recent, but our ISO accreditations we've got in 9001 and 27001. Something that I know as an agency we worked bloody hard to get. And it wasn't just a case you rock up and say we want an accreditation. There was probably, 12, 18-month process to actually be in a position where we could go for those. Ollie, as the MD, why did you feel a need to put so much investment and time into having those?
Look, as we know, the agency space has become highly commoditized, very, very competitive. It's always been competitive, more so recently. And I think with the advent of tools and AI and a lot of people having to go themselves, I guess as an agency which is bigger, has larger overheads, was just really probably looking to distinguish ourselves in the marketplace. And PWD's always prided ourselves on trying to obviously produce a good quality project for people and a decent process. But how do you sort of validate that apart from, saying we're good, which everybody does, right?
Yeah.
Because, of course, we're going into bat day to day for PWD and we're up against whoever. So it's some external validation, I guess. And I thought also at the same time, going through both of those, especially 9001 would probably make us a better agency. It would just really refine those processes and structures and things like that. And I knew it was going to be onerous and arduous, and it certainly has been.
I think what you mean is a pain in the ass to get it.
Yeah, it has. And there's a lot of cost and there's a lot of ongoing compliance with it. But that said, there are clients there that were on a knife edge as to whether they were going to go with us or the other guys.
Oh, right.
And I'm not saying it's the be-all and end-all, it's the silver bullet or anything like that, but I do believe it's played a factor in us winning that work as well. And also attracting, some of that higher end of town, some of those more complicated jobs.
Yeah.
I think that's important. And those higher end jobs, I guess they're the projects that you and your team want to get stuck into, right?
Oh,
You've
absolutely.
got a bit more scope to...
Yeah, I think, like what I was saying before, I feel like it's a nice credibility stamp, but you're going through trials to earn it. And so it is one of those things where everybody has to go through a certain series of steps. And because of that, it shows that perseverance to be able to want to achieve this particular level, which also shows something in terms of the agency's kind of, thought process as well.
The 27001, I always get the numbers wrong, was the first one we got.
Yep.
Tell us a bit about that one, Oliver.
ISMS, Information Security and Management Systems.
Yep.
So that one is obviously around your cybersecurity policies, retention policies, backup, phishing, all those kind of things. So obviously that's when we did all that training with the staff.
And it made everybody very aware after that training of things to pay attention to.
They actually stopped me writing passwords on Post-it notes at that point.
Everybody's very, very, tentative about a lot of stuff, but because they've got these new tools that they've learned from this training, it's very smart and it's a better way for the agency to move forward.
By the way, you were the only person that clicked on to win a free iPhone.
Twice, but I didn't get it the first time, which made me really annoyed. And the second time, it told me that I was a millionaire, which was really awesome. And then I was like, "Well, Holly, I think I'm going to move on now that I'm a millionaire."
So, but that obviously pretty. I mean, a lot of the stuff for us from a security point of view is externally hosted, anyways. We don't have a file server here in the office; it's externally hosted, so. We do, for the most part, rely on enterprise-grade external services, Amazon, Google, etc. So that wasn't too bad. It was more of the human side. And I do joke about Chris clicking on stuff, but there was somebody in this office that didn't quite pass the test, and they're fairly close to me, which was a little embarrassing. But I guess that, that it shows you the vulnerability of an organization. All it takes is somebody to click on something they should, and then their computer's infected, and somebody's watching you, and
And it's getting better, though. I mean, nowadays the types of material that's coming out looks legit. Like off, straight off, it looks legit at a glance, but then you start paying attention to the things we learned and things to kind of identify. And the more you're able to see those things, you're like, nobody's going to catch that. Unless you know what you're looking for, nobody's going to know the difference between that. So yeah, these phishing scams are becoming very pro level.
Yeah. We've had a couple of clients recently that have been done, and it's embarrassing. Politically, it's very embarrassing. It's expensive to clean it up afterwards. Obviously, there's the brand reputation, there's the trust side of things. And, or I should say, you guys, I don't think we're here at this time, but we did get done a while ago, probably 8 years ago, and we had our server wiped out.
Wow.
And it appeared to be a commercial hit. And coincidentally, there was an IT company locally in Perth that seemed to know everything about our hosting and who was on it, and contacted all our clients, and seemed to be
a bit of a conspiracy theory there.
Very closely involved. I won't say who they were, but
I was kind of hoping you were going to. But no, please don't.
We'll beep it out.
Yeah, a little bit close to home that one was. Yeah, right. And when I first started, I did used to host everything myself. I had a dedicated server, and that got knocked over and taken out for 3 days straight. So that was down from Friday afternoon all the way through to pretty much Monday morning. And that was just a nightmare. And of course, if you don't.
I'm sure your clients love that, by the way.
Oh, man, it was hell. And the issue is, of course, they all ring you and say, well, when's it going to be back up? When's it going to be back up? And of course, every time you're trying to answer a phone call, you're obviously delayed, and then they'll ring back an hour later. A lot of these sites weren't even, they're just brochure websites. They weren't actually business critical sites.
No.
I can understand if it was their email addresses. That's a little bit different, but I guess we've obviously built in redundancies and failovers, and we do hosting at a much more significant level than we used to. It's certainly not Mickey Mouse anymore. But 9001, I genuinely think, has made us a better company. I guess the other side you've got to look at it is that you can't perhaps be as dynamic or quick, because there are processes you've got to go through.
Yeah.
And that's more around the quality management, right, and the process we have to follow to get projects and systems through.
Which can be frustrating. Can be frustrating from a client's point of view, because we say, well, actually, we can't just throw that live, because it's now got to go through this next process, right? This QA process. Yeah. So that, in theory, makes you a better company, but it can slow things down a tad.
Yeah.
So...
but I think we've always focused on, in the sales side, we get asked, how long is a website project going to take? And I think our line is we focus more on quality in the end product, opposed to trying to rush something through just to get it. We'll try and work within deadlines, but quality comes first, right?
We'll do it right the first time. I mean, you brought that up in the last one,
Yeah. And we said it before, pay cheap, pay twice. Or, if they don't spend enough time in that design phase, we always see that turn ugly when they get into development, because then they start trying to design it in the development phase. And of course, we've already built it.
I'm sure you love that when people try and change designs in the development stage.
Absolutely. That's my favorite thing.
Frustrating.
Yeah.
I guess, for anybody that's probably interested, well, how much does it cost to get your ISO certifications? You're generally looking about the sort of basic company, and if you're not doing it probably the proper way, you could probably get away for $15,000, but it wouldn't be proper.
Yeah,
I think we invested probably $25,000 roughly at the beginning.
Yeah,
that's just the start, though. So there's obviously the auditing and the compliance, which comes in after the fact.
And is that annual, the auditing?
No, it's monthly, man.
Is it?
It's monthly, yeah. It's monthly, and you'll have things that you've hit, or other things that you'll then need to do. If you weren't compliant, you got a non-compliance. And, obviously we've got a dedicated person here, being Warren, who looks after that. And he spends, I would suggest, between him and Olivia, probably 10 to 15 hours a week as a minimum.
Yeah.
Looking after our ISO compliance. So,
keeps you sharp, though. Keeps you sharp.
It does. It's not a light undertaking, so I wouldn't do it unless you're going to be committed to it, because you'll just put yourself through a lot of stress, pain, and pus, and But it's been good for us, and it's the way we wanted to go, and it's to try to go to that next level as an agency. It's an external validation from an independent governing body. At the end of the day, these guys are unbiased.
Yeah,
they come in, they do their audits. You either pass or you don't. And I think it has integrity, that system. It's not something you can just buy.
No.
We didn't pass the first time round, you know, so we had quite a few non-conformances that we needed to clean up.
That was me clicking on the iPhone. I apologize.
You
to everybody. I just look like a good phone. I just really believed in it.
Yeah.
Is there another one coming, or those two are sort of the important ones for us? Because there's a lot of ISO accreditations.
For us, they're probably the most important. And, you know, as you know, from a local government point of view or mining companies' point of view, that is their language. That's the sort of things that they do.
And as an agency too, like, sorry to cut you off, but as an agency, having that ability of trying to find the way to kind of continue to improve, how to continue to evolve as not only as a team, but in terms of what you're putting to the market. So I think that's great that we're always trying to improve the kind of direction.
And you know, I think for us as well, again, in the sales side, we can tell people we do bloody good websites. We meet the highest standard, but then you can back it up with that kind of stamp of the ISO accreditation, because everyone can do good websites, right? Apparently.
Yeah, if they get it. I guess that's the only probably negative or downside to it, is that not a lot of clients get it or understand it or value it. And, you know.
But the ones that do, they do.
They do. You know, again, you know, we are the size we are. We have, you know, we as an agency that we are, we have overheads that other agencies don't have.
No,
because our payroll is so big.
Yeah.
You know,
and we get expensive mics for podcasts.
Well, yeah, no,
we've got payroll tax.
This thing's not cheap.
You know, we've obviously got that compliance cost. You know, so that is built into our cost of goods. It's built into our overheads. So. One or two things needs to hurt our margin, or we need to increase our markup.
Yeah.
So
right.
That's, I guess, you know, for the clients that perhaps don't value and appreciate that, you know, may not realize the cost benefit of getting it or going with an agency which has gone that extra mile. But ISO, it's definitely a good thing, good badge to have. I actually don't think we use it enough. I don't think we promote it enough.
Well, I think that's going to start changing now. I think we've talked about different places that it should be in terms of how we present it. So, yeah, we're going to start kind of incorporating that in a lot more.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else on a final note, gents? You jump in? We're all good. I think hopefully we've got the mic system set.
I think so. I think nobody's moved away from their mic.
We look like very like rabbits in the headlights. Don't we? Kind of stand there. I got told off last week.
Natural.
No, I feel all right.
It's because last week I was turning my head around, and the sound was a bit funny. So I'm just trying to focus on talking right into this mic. So I'm going to turn around and I'm going to say hello to the camera and goodbye to the camera.
There you go. See, you can just move it around with you. It's like a little friend.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us, Ollie, Chris. Always a pleasure. See you next week. Cheers.
See ya.